Welcome to Aligned and Unfiltered. This is the podcast where we speak honestly about what it really takes to build a life that aligns with the future version of you, the one that you keep saying that you're going to be. I will give you self-help hacks and tools to be able to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to Aligned and Unfiltered. Thank you so much for being here, whether or not you are watching or listening. I really hope that you liked last week's guest episode, but today is going to be a solo one from me. We are going to be talking all about the journey of starting my own business in Dubai, the Green House Salon. And I put a Q&A up on my Instagram to see the kind of things that you wanted to learn about. And I have going to answer some of your questions. So anyone who doesn't know, the Greenhouse is my hair salon. It was just a hair salon. It's now a hair and nail salon. And I've had it for 4 years in Dubai. I started out as a hairdresser behind the chair full time. And then over time, I have now come away from the chair and I am working solely on the business rather than in the business, which was a massive shift to make, especially when you've been a hairdresser for so long. Making that shift from being behind a chair to no longer being behind the chair is so hard to do. Not just from yourself and the own expectations and pressures that you put on yourself, but also from your clients as well. And it is hard because anyone who's listening to this who is in the hair and beauty industry and has had clients will know you create a relationship and a bond with your clients and you see them every 6 to 8 to 12 weeks. So you really are involved in knowing what's going on in their lives, and all of a sudden to come away from that is really, really hard to do. Also to see them then having their hair done with other people and not knowing what's going on in their lives, like it is a real process, and it's not something that came easy to me at all, but it is something that I am glad that I have done, and I don't regret my decision at all. Do I spend a lot of my time in the salon chatting to those clients as soon as they're coming in? Yes, of course. I love to still see my clients in the salon. It really, really makes me so happy that so many of them still come to the greenhouse, and that I do get to see them as and when is so lovely. But for me, it was vital to come away from behind the chair, to be able to run the business the way I wanted to run it, to be able to live my life the way I wanted to live it, and have some sanity in the process. That was something that had to happen for me. So that's kind of a little bit of a short background as to the greenhouse and what I'm doing now. But to answer some of your questions. So, first one was, what was the hardest thing about starting a business in Dubai? So for me, the hardest thing about starting a business in Dubai is I didn't know many people who'd done it before me. At the time when I'd opened up the salon, I only knew one other person who'd done this, who I knew really well as a friend that I could ask for advice from, I could ask for help with as well, and somebody who I knew was genuinely going to help me. That was probably the hardest part, because not knowing really what you're doing and not knowing that many people who've been through it before to ask for help and advice is really difficult. Also, when opening a business in a country that isn't your home country is really tricky, because there are so many rules that you don't know about and that you learn when you do start to open up your business. There are so many like red tapes and things like that that just kind of crop up, and when that happens, that can be quite soul destroying, because you could be at a place where you're like just about ready to open, and then all of a sudden you need this approval that you never knew that you needed, that takes weeks to get, and it can be really disheartening and really, really hard in that beginning bit. So for me, I would say the hardest thing about opening up a business in Dubai is learning the rules, learning the ropes, and not having that many people before me that had done it that I could ask for help. So my best bit of advice would be, if you are opening up a business in Dubai, find someone that you can ask advice from, find someone that you can lean on. And people will ask me for advice and I will absolutely give it. But something that I will say, if you are going to ask somebody for advice and they're in the same industry that you're going into, have something in it for them. Ask to take them for a coffee, buy them a coffee, sit down with them, take them for lunch, whatever it is, where, there's an exchange. Because sometimes what I will say is if you are messaging somebody who's in the same industry that you want to go into and you just want all their information, you want to know everything that they've learned, but you don't actually want to give anything in return, I personally don't think that's very fair. I think that if you want advice from somebody, if you want to learn from someone, you have to give something in return. So you're either there supporting their business or you are buying them a coffee. I'm not saying it has to be anything grand, but I do really believe that there should always be an exchange. And for me, even just buying somebody a coffee would be enough. But I would absolutely always help people who are in that position because I know how hard it is. How much did you invest in the beginning? This is a difficult question because if I'm really honest, I did not go into opening up a business with a business plan. I thought I did, but I definitely didn't. I just knew that I had enough savings to pay the rent for the first, I would say, 4 months. And I had enough money behind me to buy all the products, buy all the stock, buy all the chairs and the fit out. I had enough behind me to do that. Now, I was in a fortunate position because I was the one who was doing the service. So I knew that from the minute I opened the salon, I was going to be making money. I already was fully booked. I already had a clientele. I already had a wait list. So I knew that I was going to generate an income as soon as I opened those doors. Even if I didn't have anyone working for me, I knew that I was going to bring in X amount in a month, and I knew how that could then carry me on. It is obviously important to have a business plan and know how much money you're going to need to set up, but if you're the one who is doing the service when you first open, then you are aware of how much money you're going to be able to generate quite quickly. If you're opening a business, say you're opening up a salon but you don't actually do the service, you are a businesswoman and you're opening up the salon and you need to employ other people, that in my eyes is so much riskier than what I did because you're relying on other people to make your money for you. It's not to say that it can't work and it's not going to be beneficial, but it's absolutely more risky. So with that, you would have to have a lot more money behind you to be able to front wages, to be able to front the costs of everything without the idea of potentially bringing money back in straight away. In terms of how much I actually invested, I would say my first 4 months rent, whatever that was, my first big colour order, my fit out costs, and the salary for the 2 staff members that I hired originally and their visa costs for the first 3 months. So I worked whatever that was, I worked that out and I had that money in savings. I, again, was in a very fortunate position that I had saved the money. So I didn't have to get an investor, I didn't have to get a bank loan. I had the money there, ready to do it. It was kind of like, do we buy a house or do I do this? And we went through the process of doing this first, which in turn has led for us to be able to buy a house. That's been amazing. But yeah, that was what I did. I saved and I worked really hard and kept the money aside, and then the money that was aside, that was then what I used. What made you decide to start the salon versus working for someone else? Now, this is an interesting one. So where I was working before I started the greenhouse, I really liked, I was really happy there. I just didn't fit in. It wasn't quite me. And for anybody who knows that salon now will be like, yeah, of course, like that wasn't you. But at the time, it was great. I was a lot younger. I was a different stage of my life then. And I learned a lot working there. I had a really, really good time. But as time progressed and as I progressed, I just didn't quite fit in there as much anymore. So I really found that I had to start looking elsewhere. But I didn't really want to work anywhere else. The salon that I wanted didn't exist at that time in Dubai. And Dubai 4 years ago was very different to Dubai today. So I really felt like I had to create something because what I wanted didn't exist. I always wanted to create somewhere where I could look after people. I wanted to create a salon and a business where I could hire people to work there and look after them and nurture them and support them and help them grow and encourage them. I'm so happy that that now is something that I have been able to do, and I really do love every single person that works at the greenhouse, and I will always support them in whatever it is that they want to do, and that really is the best part about having a salon. How long did it take from the idea to opening day? So it was in January when I went to view the unit, and it was like maybe around the 10th-ish of January, something like that, I can't remember. I viewed the unit for the second time then, and I signed on the dotted line, and then we opened at the end of April. So about 3 months. So it really wasn't that long. I viewed the salon, it was rubble. Like, it was literally rubble. But Dubai does work quite fast when it comes to fit outs and things like that. So I was very fortunate that that happened the way that it did. What did I not know that I wish I had? There are many things that I wish that I had known that I absolutely did not. It had never occurred to me before I opened the business that I wouldn't be taking a salary straight away. Now, this might be quite simple and obvious for a lot of people, but I'd gone for so long working on commission and being 50-50 and thinking, well, all of a sudden I'm going to get 100%. So obviously I will be able to still get a wage at like 50%. But what I was taking for the salon at that time when I first opened was paying for everything. It was paying for the wages, it was paying for the bills, it was paying for the stock, the rent, like everything. So when I first opened, I just didn't take that into consideration that I wouldn't have a salary for quite a while. And what I was bringing into the business really had to build up the rest of the business and not actually be taken at all for myself. So that was something that was a big lesson when I first opened. Something that I did that I'm really glad that I did with that as well was then when I did start being able to take money back, I actually still paid myself as though I was a stylist. So I was put myself on the same commission structure as all of my team, which I know a lot of people probably wouldn't do and wouldn't necessarily even recommend. But at that beginning stage, it was really good because it kept me focused and I was still putting loads of money back into the business every month. And I didn't actually feel like I was missing out because I was still getting what I'd always got before. I did not know that you had to pay your staff through WPS. I'd never learned that before. Whether or not I was being paid through WPS before, I have no idea, but I just didn't know that that was a thing. I was paying all my staff by bank transfer, and then a couple of months in, it got flagged, and they were like, you have to be paying your staff through WPS. I then had to backdate and repay everyone through WPS. It was just such a headache, but it was something that I just didn't know how to do. Something else that I wish that I'd have known was how hard it is to set up a business bank account over here. Now, again, I was really fortunate at the time when I set it up that there was an option for this bank account, which doesn't exist anymore. And it was called E20. And you didn't have to have any like large sum of money to be able to open up this bank account. But obviously you have to have a business bank account. So I'd set up this bank account. It was that shit that you didn't even have bank statements. I couldn't get bank statements. So for my accountant to do my accounting, I had to screen record my banking app for her to know how much I'd spent and when and what money had come in, things like that. It was so backwards and so ridiculous. But I just wish that I'd have known how to really open up a proper business account, how much it was going to cost me, and I could have put that into my projection at the beginning, but that just wasn't something that I thought would be that hard to do, that much of a big deal, or be that difficult. What was one of the hardest moments, and did you almost quit? There has been many, like so many hard moments that I probably blocked out half of them. The hardest one for me, and this is more because for me it was definitely more emotional, and honestly I have learned so much from this happening, but after I had my girls, I asked for 2 weeks maternity leave. So I literally said, I just want 2 weeks, no contact, that's it. 6 days later, one of my hairdressers, who I believed to be a friend as well at that time, handed in her notice. And I had no idea that she was unhappy. I had no idea that she was even thinking of leaving. It completely came out of nowhere for me. And I really took that personally. I did, because I was 6 days postpartum with twins. I was finding that really hard, obviously. And then this had happened. And at this point as well, don't forget, I was behind the chair, like pre having the girls. So we're already a stylist down. I've then gone on mat leave, and then this has happened. And it just felt unfair. It felt unkind. I took it really personally by me saying those things. You can tell I took it so personally. And I just felt like, why am I doing this? You know, like I had all the emotions that most people would have had in that same situation. But like I say, it taught me a lot. It's taught me to now not react with emotion. It's taught me that it's about them, it's not always about you. Yeah, I've grown from that massively, but that was absolutely one of those moments where I was like, why am I doing this? Other moments that I've had like that, I've had someone who was working for me disappear overnight and move to the Cayman Islands and not tell me. There has been some big things. I mean, the other day, my front door of the salon just blew off. The front door just literally blew off, and I will insert a photo for YouTube. So if you're listening to this and you want to go and watch it, it just blew off and snapped in half. Like things like that just happen, right? And there's literally just nothing that you can do about it. But again, I've learned so much from these things, because I've really learned how to handle things professionally, calmly, and just to keep moving basically. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to get rid of this place. I love my salon, I love my team. So you do just have to handle the hard things when they come your way, no matter what. Did you have imposter syndrome as a new business owner? Maybe, I can't really remember. I feel like I didn't have time to have imposter syndrome. I feel like I was working so hard and so full on that I don't believe that that ever was something that I would have even thought of. I always believe that I have always naturally been a leader. Like I would naturally lead people. I would naturally, in jobs that I've had in the past, kind of be like, figure out the way to then teach others how to do it. So I think when it came to them being a business owner, it didn't feel unnatural to me to have a team, to have people working for me. I just kind of slid into that role quite easily. And I learned a lot again as I went, and I did a lot of self-development work to get there. I did a lot of work to be able to learn how to handle certain situations. And again, I just think it comes with experience over time. Is there anything that you would do differently? Probably not, because really, if I did anything differently, would I be here today? The only thing, okay, on reflection, the only thing that I would probably do differently in the past to what I definitely do now is a little bit more of a harder screening when I was hiring people. I feel like in the beginning, I was definitely hiring out of like need and want, and like, you know, it was only me working here, so I desperately needed some staff. And I don't think I vetted people the way that I would do now. But that's also something that, again, comes with experience, comes with time. I'm very fortunate now that I'm in the position where I don't have to take people on, everybody who applies to me. But I think at that time, at the beginning, I felt really, really like desperate for staff. And to be honest, the people that I hired were all amazing, and I was really, really fortunate for them, and they all taught me a lot along the way. But did they really align with what I wanted? Probably not. I think I learned a lot, and that would probably be something that I would do differently. It's not that I wouldn't have hired them again. I just have learned a lot from those experiences. Did anyone try and talk you out of it? Not really. A lot of people that are close to me know that you can't talk me out of anything. I am someone who, once I get my mind set to something, I do it, and I have always been like that. So I don't think anybody could try and talk me out of it. I remember one of my really close friends, when I was expanding the salon and getting next door, she was a little bit like hesitant. She was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you've literally just had babies, you know, and she was not wrong to think or say any of those things. She was coming from a friend's perspective. She was trying to look after me. I get it. But that's kind of the only pushback that I've ever had. This is a good one. How did you find the space and negotiate the lease? I looked a lot on like Property Finder and things like that in terms of trying to find the right space. And I'll be honest, I had to go where I could afford. I didn't have a business partner. I didn't have somebody else to lean on in that way. So I had to go where I could afford. And I was also trying to not be too close to where I worked previously out of respect to them. And then I was also trying to find a location where my clients could get to easily. Now, Arjan at that time was not a busy area. It was pretty much a sandpit. I'd worked out it was like 10 minutes from Dubai Hills, 10 minutes from Arabian Ranches, 20 minutes from JLT. Like it was a good location really for me, and it was what I could afford. The shop space was great. It was like just over 1,000 square foot. And it just felt right. When it comes to negotiating the lease, I definitely don't even think I did negotiate the lease. I think I was just at that age of naivety that was like, yeah, I'll take it. I don't really remember actually negotiating the lease. I probably should have, but I don't think I did at that time. However, rents were a hell of a lot cheaper then to what they are now. How did the first 6 to 12 months look of the greenhouse? So the first 6 to 12 months was just hustle. It was working hard. It was making a lot of mistakes, learning from them, being transparent and open as well with my staff. I just used to say to everyone who was working for me, I used to say, and I still do say things like this now, everything is subject to change. I am figuring it out as I'm going along. What works today might not work tomorrow. Like we're all just on this journey together in this new business. The first 6 months was very much me working all hours every day, like as much as I could to really, really make it work. And as time went on, I started to gain more staff members. I started to attract more hairdressers because as well, when you're first opening up a business, not many people want to come and work for you because they can't see your vision the way that you see it. And they might not know you to trust you that you are going to work as hard as you are, or as you're saying that you are, know you well enough to trust you that you're going to put your all into it. So yeah, the first 6 months was really just figuring it out, and 12 months. And then after that, I felt like I then had a database to work from of like, right, okay, we did this in the first year. This is what we want to do next year. And this is how I want to progress. And this is how I want to change next year. And this is our best month yet. Where can we beat that? Last year, we closed on a Sunday. This year, should we open on a Sunday? It was things like that. And I think the main takeaway that I've had from being in business myself is let yourself change and evolve with time. Let yourself get things wrong and learn your lesson, and be honest and upfront and vulnerable when it comes to that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with saying to your team, I thought this would work and it didn't. And I'm sorry that I got it wrong, but let's try again next time. For me, a team really loves working for somebody who is honest and who is a good communicator and is not afraid to get things wrong, not afraid to try new things. Because ultimately, if they know that at the core of it, you want what's best for them, you want what's best for your business, then they can see the vision. So I've loved this little Q&A video. If you want to see more of these, then please let me know. And next week, I have another guest episode, which I am so excited for. And it is going to be with Natalie, who is a financial coach for women, and she is amazing. You will love the episode. We recorded it this week, and I'm so excited for you to listen to it. Please don't forget to watch along on YouTube, subscribe, do all those things that please really, really help my podcast. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and I will see you soon.